Welcome, everybody. Welcome, friends from all over the world checking in. Welcome to Southsea Sangha Online. Sorry, I was just thinking, if it wasn't for these sessions actually on a Sunday, I probably would not have a shave or have a shower. But they're forcing me to maintain my hygiene and appearance, so I'm grateful for that. Anyway, back onto the session while we're here tonight. So thank you for joining in on our community tonight. I really appreciate you all being here. It helps me, it helps all the people that are logged in and registered that you can see at the bottom of the screen there. We hope to keep offering these sessions as the situation kind of unfolds. And although this is online, we believe, and I believe as well, that there can be just as much richness as of an experience of community of Sangha, even though we're meeting in this way online. So some housekeeping before I disappear. You can keep up to date with everything that we're offering and what we might offer more of as this unfolds by following these links here. I'm gonna drop them into the chat. Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, or you can join our mailing list via our website. You just need to scroll to the bottom of the website. And if you have any questions tonight around our website or anything, Catherine, who you're all chatting to there, is one of our volunteers, and she can point you in the right direction for things. Okay, so this week's session of Dharma in times of COVID, we welcome Sara. For the session called Slowing Right Down, a Nervous System Reset for Times of Global Turmoil. I'm just going to read a little blurb about Sara, because some of you may not be familiar with her. So Sara is a trained movement and meditation teacher. She runs courses and workshops in Copenhagen. She works with somatic movement patterns, sensory-based yoga, yoga ethics, and breath techniques. And she's spent the last decade practicing and studying meditation with different teachers, and is currently based in Copenhagen, where she teaches movement and meditation. So welcome, Sara. I haven't seen her for so long. She came to Southsea about this time last year, actually, I think. And we have plans for her to come over and teach in Portsmouth. And Sara's due to be a mum, so we had to kind of postpone that. But she's here not quite 3D, but we hope we hope tonight that you can benefit from tonight's session. So you're all chatting away in the chat bar, which is lovely. If you could use the chat bar to communicate with yourselves, and if Sara asks for some feedback around a practice or anything, you use the chat bar, that'd be great. If you have any specific questions, you can use the Ask a Question tab, which is just below the donation button. If you accidentally ask a question in the chat bar, don't worry, I will, in the background, I'll be moving it over and deleting it in the chat box. So if it disappears, it's just because I've moved it over into the right section. So lastly, just to kind of briefly say how we operate this on Dharna. So us and the teacher really appreciate your support, your financial support, as it allows us to continue what we're doing here in this way. We're really grateful to Sangha Live to use their platform in order to do this. They also run daily meditations in the week, Monday to Friday, which you can join for free. Even though our community have moved temporarily online, we still have outgoings as a community, such as insurance and other costs to cover. So the Dharna that's offered tonight will be split between the teacher and ourselves. So we try our best to support you in this practice and in this time. So please do your best to support us as well. We'll be really grateful for that. So that just leaves me to wish and hope that we can all make good use of this practice, of this opportunity to be here together in this way, coming in this way in like a kind of precious assembly, I guess you could say, and practice as Sangha. And I hope that it in some way supports you in whatever your daily rhythm has now become and what that looks like for you. So thank you for your kind attention. I'll leave you in the capable hands, Sara, for an evening of Dharma practice and movement. I will appear and disrupt the piece later on when we do a Q&A. But for now, I shall see you soon, and I hope you enjoy your evening. Thank you for being.
All right. Thank you, Daniel. Is the sound good? Can everybody hear me? I hope so. Great. So here we are. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to connect in this way, and I see so many lovely familiar names from around the world. Ellie, Regina, it's very nice to see all of you. And I just wanted to take a moment to speak to the format. Um, while the technology that supports us in this way is really amazing, and it enables us to meet in a way that we may not have. I wanted to just say that perhaps this format supports you, or even enables you to practice in ways that you would normally be able to for a variety of reasons, and perhaps it makes it more difficult. Um, for those of us who tend to lean a little bit towards restlessness and distractions, the format of meeting online can actually sometimes enhance that. I know that from myself, at least. It's so much easier to not feel connected to the person on the screen uh, as compared to if you're in the same room. And then, going for that distraction, reaching for the phone or the fridge. And if this is you, I urge you to really stay mindful of the urge to get up or the urge to get out of this moment. And perhaps you can imagine all the people practicing now with you online, that they are seated right there with you in your living room, if that doesn't make you freak out. um, and if you have to leave, of course you have to leave, but this is just an invitation to be mindful of the urges and how you respond to them. So I think actually it was some Italian scientists in the 90s that discovered that we have something called mirror neurons, which means that some of the brain cells that control our body, they react to other people's movements in exactly the same way they would react if we had done that movement ourselves. It's been called both empathy neurons and neurological Wi-Fi. But the point is, this activation is decreased through screens. So we have to perhaps to be a little bit more aware of making that connection rather than just consuming the content on the screen. So just a little note on the format. And so on a practical side, I can't see any of you. I can see all the comments sort of going in one side of the screen, but I can't see any of you. Normally, I would be able to sort of read your faces or sensing the room, but I can't do that now. So please don't hesitate to use the comments if something is confusing or unclear, and I'll try to explain. And then just a note to acknowledge that some of you are long-term practitioners and some of you are newer to these kinds of practices. And I'll offer some instructions that are helpful to me. If you know that something different is right for you for some reason, then I deeply encourage you to listen to that. And so just in a little while, I'll guide a short meditation and then offer some reflection, and then we'll move into a really gentle, slow movement practice and some rest. And I've recruited my very sweet partner Rune, who has agreed to come and help and demonstrate the postures behind me so that I can speak to you. So he'll come in a little bit later. And if you do, I think Daniel wrote it already, but if you have some blankets and pillows, we'll be using that for the movement part. So you may want to get that if you don't have it already. All right. So for now, just offer yourself the support you need right now. So whether it be more time to kind of settle in, finding a comfortable seated posture, maybe you need some pillows to support your body, you want to adjust the light, anything that can support you right now, go ahead and do that. I think right now for this practice, there's no need to sort of sit in any particular way. And we can perhaps let go of the idea that all of this spiritual business should look a certain way. So there is no need to hold yourself together in any kind of predefined way. Just find the posture that works for you. So whether you're seated on your shins or cross-legged or in a chair, if you're on the floor and you're not used to sitting on the floor, it can be super helpful to elevate the hips on a pillow or some blankets. But wherever you're seated, start sensing into the weight of your sitting bones. So just feeling the weight of your entire body down towards the ground. Then you don't necessarily have to lengthen your spine, but maybe there's an intention in your posture, a little bit of awakeness, so that you're not only relaxed, you're also here, you're also awake. And you can invite your jaw to soften. Allow your lips to be full and soft. You can invite the muscles around your eyes to let go of their grip. Close your eyes, or if you feel more comfortable, just keep them slightly open, sort of a lazy gaze on the floor in front of you. And allow your hands to rest a place where your shoulders have support, your knees, thighs, wherever. Allow your belly to be soft and round, like the Buddha. And if you're holding any tension below the belly button, maybe now is a good time to take a deep breath. And see if there's any part of that tension you can soften just a little bit. Any part of that you can let go to the extent that it's possible right now. And as we slowly move into a formal sitting practice, notice the shift from arriving, fixing, listening, tech stuff, to just sitting here now. You can turn your attention inwards and welcome yourself exactly as you are in this moment. Beautifully imperfect. See if you can keep your breath natural. So there's no need to lengthen it or control it, deepen it. Just allow the inhale to be body spontaneous movement. And exhale, just a passive passing of air. Just noticing if your breath feels shallow, fast, deep, cold or warm. You don't have to change anything about your breath. You can just notice how it unfolds. Now turn your attentions to any sensations in your body. So notice if you feel heavy this evening or light. Do you feel tired or energized? Restless? And you may want to notice if there are any remnants of energy or momentum from this afternoon, from this week, maybe these weeks. Maybe remnants of stories, conversations. And you don't have to do anything about it. You don't have to push it away. Just let it unfold for now. And perhaps just by turning your kind attention towards it, it will start to slow down. Maybe not. And if you've held energy for others throughout the day or the week, maybe take a moment to feel the weight of that. And if it feels helpful, you can release it with a deep breath in and then exhale. Just releasing anything that doesn't serve you right now in this moment. Now notice your thoughts. You don't have to engage, just notice if they are on full speed, if they are muddy. Are there stories you're telling yourself about this moment or some other moment? Allow it all to be as it is now. And as you inhale, sense the air entering your body. And as you exhale, notice air leaving the body. And you may notice that as you turn your attention to your breath and your body, maybe it all slows down by its own accord, not by forcing anything, but just by shining a kind light of awareness on it. But it may also be that it doesn't. Don't force anything. You can sort of leave any intentions of being calm behind. So don't let the intention to be grounded or calm be another burden on you. If there is restlessness still, it could be a sign that your nervous system is doing its very best to protect you. So perhaps a thought of gratitude towards your body, your home. And as you inhale, notice the inhale. And as you exhale, notice the full length of the exhale. the pause at the end of the exhale where everything comes to a halt. As you inhale, notice the full inhale. And as you exhale, notice the full exhale. So I'll leave you with your breath for a few minutes. So as the bell rings, maybe an intention of continuity. So practice doesn't have to end when the bell rings. The invitation here to stay in your body as you listen. So these are really surreal times. I was just chatting to Daniel right before I came on about what's it like in the UK and what's it like here. And I think no matter what the situation is, we're all in sort of unfamiliar territory with the current situation. Here in Denmark, everything is closed. We've been working from home for 2.5 weeks and having all other activities cancelled, of course. And when I was making this, I thought about how hard it can be to slow down and how much this current situation really doesn't make it any easier. And I notice as we may have more time on our hands, there may be this idea that we should be really productive with that time. I see it a lot on social media. You know, now is the time to write that book. Now is the time to get that project done. But I think it's super important to realize that our bodies are already working really hard. And one reason why it may be difficult to slow down, for some of us at least, is that our nervous systems might be overworked. And we as humans, we need to co-regulate with others. We're definitely tribal animals. We're social animals. And so isolation is naturally stressful for us. We may experience it in different ways, but it's not a natural situation for us. So when the shit hits the fan, it can feel counterintuitive or even counterproductive to isolate, that we are required to isolate ourselves physically. And as we do so, our nervous system can become alert and more defensive because it's wired to protect us with a healthy amount of fear. And then as we try to sort through the news cycles and the constant loads of information, there may also be confusion about what right response looks like. So what is too much and what is too little, and how much fear is really the right amount for this situation? It's really hard to see through the filter of the news cycle. And then at the same time, as we may have more time, most of us still have a lot to accomplish. So some of us are working from home, having to sort of adjust to a whole new situation of how to work and how to have meetings and all of that. For a lot of people, there are still kids at home who are not going to school anymore. So we have to deal with them and help them and support them in the best way possible. A partner perhaps, or worries about the future and the economy, or if you're by yourself, perhaps there is a sense of loneliness in all of this. So I think it's not surprising that all of this may result in an overwhelmed nervous system where the sympathetic nervous system is on alert. And that can show up in many different ways. It can show up as irritation, it can show up as anger or tense muscle if we sort of lean toward fight mode. I'm sure you're familiar with these terms, fight, flight, or freeze. It can also show up as anxiety, maybe an increased heartbeat, restlessness, or inability to sit still or concentrate if we're more the flight mode type of people. Or it can show up as numbing out, maybe shallow breath, and the sense that we just don't care. If we are more the freeze kind of type. And then mind sort of tries to get us to certain ground by taking over in the best way that it knows how to. And we're so highly trained in constant getting and having and becoming. We're always going places in this kind of modern society that most of us live in. And we're figuring stuff out and planning and basically having control. There's this tyranny of busyness, I think, that we can really notice now that it's slowing down. This tyranny of always being online, ready to respond. And it sort of creates an armoring against the gentle wisdom of the body, so that we don't hear it, because we have to ignore or override its signals when we have to be places and see people and do stuff. And then when all of that goes out the window, it can feel like the blanket is being pulled away from under us. And many of us feel lost. And I think for me, it feels like a loss of direction, a loss of motion, basically, of being in charge, of bringing things in a certain direction, which can be really unsettling. And for me personally, business has been a very efficient survival strategy in a chaotic upbringing, and slowing down actually felt super scary. Always running towards or away from something, and harmony felt really wrong. So as long as I kept in motion, I felt like I was in control of something, whereas stillness meant uncertainty, which was overwhelming. And I sort of sense some of that right now. There is sort of a loss of control in stopping. But of course, as we know, it's an illusion. The control is an illusion, and we can never really get there, wherever it is we think we need to go. If only I could go back to work, if only I could make my colleagues act in a certain way, whatever it is for you. And I brought a little something I want to read from a book called Field Guide to Getting Lost, which is a brilliant title in my opinion. It's by Rebecca Solnit. And she talks about what she calls the blue of distance. And she says, if you can look across the distance without wanting to close it up, if you can own your longing in the same way that you own the beauty of that blue that can never be possessed, for something of this longing will, like the blue of distance, only be relocated, not assuaged by acquisition and arrival, just as the mountains cease to be blue when you arrive among them, and the blue instead tints the next beyond. So Rebecca Solnit. I can really recommend this book if you don't know it. And we know this, we know that we can never sort of get there. But all of these ideas and stories, they take over. There's this Pali word that a lot of you are probably familiar with that I really appreciate, papancha. I like the sound of it. And it's this process of conceptualizing the world through ever expanding language and concepts. So intellectualizing the world in a sense. You know, the feeling when the mind just goes on this wild trip of then he said, and then that means, and if only I can do this, and what about that? And we make up all of these stories rather than relating directly to this moment in this body. There was this Harvard study, I think it's from 2010, and it showed that we spend 47% of our time lost in thought about things that is not happening now. So almost half of all of our time we spend thinking about the past or the future or some fiction in our minds. And it also showed that a wandering mind, a mind lost in thought, is an unhappy mind. So now confirmed by science, what Buddhists have known for many years. But these stories are super addictive because they really boost the ego. They are always stories about me and my needs and where I want to go. And they build these solid structures around a fleeting reality, and it feels really good. It makes us, the stories, the ideas, they make us feel certain, which feels good. I think solid standpoints and solid truths. There's a reason why big gurus and big narratives are so appealing to so many people, because black and white, big stories, it's really appealing. And there can even be a kind of certainty and despair in giving up, where we just sort of numb ourselves or harden ourselves. But I think it's so important to really remember that the nature of papancha, the nature of all of these stories, is that it blurs reality. And it really reduces our ability to relate directly and non-verbally to each moment, something that goes on in the body. Because doing that, relating to each moment without this interpretation, this constant categorization is without knowing how to make sense of it, it's really scary. But it can be a really beautiful practice that can bring ourselves, that can bring us back to ourselves. But it requires that we really tune into our senses and shift the gaze inwards, so to speak, and listen deeply. Because we can't just tell the body to calm down. Your mind can't convince the body of something that it doesn't know for itself. And especially an overworked nervous system really needs help to feel safe in stillness. Yeah, so the invitation today is to drop into the body and take refuge in this moment, and then really turn inwards and listen deeply. Because in order to re-evaluate what productivity and certainty really is, perhaps we need to ask what is really needed. What is really needed? And what kind of authority is there to be found in this sensory direct experience of this moment, rather than in the stories about it? Is there perhaps any stillness below all of the energy, the restlessness that we can tap into? And so I like to think about the body and the nervous system within it as an extension of nature. When we go outside, we're not only connecting to nature, our bodies are an integral part of it, as I see it. There's an unbroken continuity between the inner and the outer landscapes. And as we know, Earth is really medicine for the nervous system. So if you can, in these times, if it's the responsible thing to do, then get out and feel the ground, smell, listen. But if that's not an option where you are, body is part of the earth, and we can access that inner nature and the wilderness of our bodies if we really listen. So the invitation for today's movement practice is to explore rather than optimize. So to just forget about form, forget about any end goals and shapes, just experience movement as a process, as a conversation with your own nervous system, in essence. So I'm gonna ask if how much of me you can see, because currently I can see like from my chest and up, but I'm thinking maybe you can see more, like, because you're gonna have to be able to see a little bit more. So if someone can let me know from the waist. All right. So I'm wondering, did that help? Same. All right. Okay. We'll see how it goes. So Rune is now here in the background to demonstrate a little bit. Oh, that's a shame. Okay, just a minute. I'll just adjust the camera a little bit, because that will be much nicer for you if you can see a little more. I think. Sorry, guys. Like, I apologize. Like so, I think perhaps you can see a little more. Is that right? Great, thank you. All right. So as you sit here now, just let's slow it down if you're not already there. Just let this moment be so simple, and if you can access it, breathe into any sense of silence and safety there may be right now. So just taking another moment here to breathe. It may just be a lack of busyness. And I'll guide a little bit of breath practice if it feels like it increases any kind of anxiety. You just go back to a normal breath. So we're going to take a deep breath in through the nose and then hold it at the top of the inhale and feel your hands. And then exhale slowly through the nose. Or if that feels too constricted, out through the mouth. So in your own pace, in your own rhythm, you breathe in through the nose. And you hold it at the top of the inhale. Sense into your hands. And then exhale slowly through the nose or perhaps through the mouth. And you continue that for a few more breaths. Perhaps lengthening the inhale, but in particularly the exhale. Now imagine that your torso is sort of like a canister, a round shape. And as you inhale, don't only breathe to your front side, breathe into the back side of your rib cage so that as you inhale, the torso, the canister, if you will, expands 360 degrees to all sides. And then as you exhale, it gathers again around the spine. So you inhale to the back side, to the sides, and it expands. And you exhale, keeping this up for a little more. And now you can let your hands meet in front of your chest. Just notice this sweet, soft touch between left and right hand. And if they're pushing hard towards each other, then see if you can soften that a little bit. And you can start rubbing your palms together to generate a little bit of heat here. So as fast as you can. And when you feel that there's some heat and energy generated, you can place one hand on top of your heart space and the other hand on top of that. Just tuning into yourself, welcoming yourself. And if you want to be accompanied by the playlist, now is a good time to put that on. I'll give you a minute to do so. And then come into a seated posture, either cross-legged as I'm sitting, or perhaps on a cushion on your knees as Rune is sitting. And then close your eyes if that feels okay for you. You're going to notice whether the right side or the left side of your sitting bones feels more heavy. And whatever side feels heavier, you start pouring your weight into that side. So you sink into the sitting bone that feels heavy. And the spine sort of just comes along for the ride. So the shifting of weight is happening in the bottom of your body. And when you get to the edge of that, you can slowly start pouring the weight to the other side, shifting the weight, just changing the relation to gravity. And again, as you come to the edge of that, slowly move back by dropping the opposite sitting bone into the ground, cushion, whatever you're sitting on. So you can imagine the spine is this braid from in between your ears and all the way down to your tailbone, just sort of swaying in the wind like a sunflower. Just along for the ride. And then notice what is happening in your neck, in your shoulders, as you're shifting the weight back and forth. And next time you come back to the middle, you can drop your tailbone back, send the weight back into the tailbone. So same kind of movement, just in the other direction. And when you get to the edge of that, drop weight into your pubic bone and allow the spine to just follow along. Now moving back and forth in between your tailbone and your pubic bone. And if it feels like it's a bit constricted, there's not much room to move in your pelvic floor in the bottom of your body, you can move the sort of the intention of the movement a little bit up. Just swaying the spine back and forth. Again, it doesn't matter here what it looks like. Don't worry if you're getting it right. Just explore what this changing relation to gravity does to your spine, your shoulders, your neck. And now you can include all 4 points of reference: the sitting bones, the pubic bone, the tailbone. And it doesn't have to be a circle. Perhaps there are other more interesting journeys that your body would like to take here. And we're moving ever so slowly, so as if you're moving through honey or something else that feels nice to you. Just getting all the way into the hips and the spine, There's really little muscular effort. It's more a shifting of weight. And you can start shifting the weight a little bit more forward as you continue the motion. So still sort of moving in between the 4 points of your pelvic floor, but maybe pouring a little bit more weight forward into your hands, noticing the different relation between your hands and your legs. And at some point, it may feel good to place your hands down on the ground in front of you. And still surveying, listening to the spine. Now come to something that feels like center for you. And then drop your shoulders down a little bit. And ever so gently turn your face to one side. And come back to the middle. And the other side. And it doesn't matter how far you get. You just notice how far your body wants to go here. Perhaps notice how slow you can go without stopping. And next time you come back to center, you shift the gaze up. If it feels safe to open your throat, you can pour the back side of the head back. And slowly lower the gaze down. And coming back to center, place one hand more to the middle, and you can reach the other hand up towards the ceiling, or if that's not accessible, just reach it back or to the side, but sort of opening up the shoulder. And we're not interested in going deep or getting in any sort of performative stretch, just noticing what does it feel like to open up here. And then slowly coming to the other side. And coming back to the center. And if you're sitting on a pillow, you may want to remove that. And then let your feet meet in front of you. I'm going to sort of connect your hands to your knees. You're not carrying your knees. You're also not pushing them. There's just a gentle connection between the two. And initiating the movement from your pelvis again, you can drop your tailbone back. Notice how your spine almost automatically rounds, gazing towards belly. And then dropping the pelvis in the opposite direction. Notice how chest lifts. And continuing. So doing this in your very own pace, it may look very different to what I'm doing or what Una is doing. So there's a little bit of engagement here. We have sort of an active dome going on. And just notice where the body wants to go. So maybe it doesn't just want to go back and forth. Maybe there are other paths in between these 2 points. And if anything is sort of popping, cracking, squeaking, that's okay. It's fine. All right. Good. Then coming back to center, rounding your back, you can grab your ankles and relax your knees. And then really rounding into your lower back, pouring your weight into your lower back and creating this curve, a stretch for all of your backside. So we rarely get to sit like this. We're always told to sit up straight. So just enjoy being completely hunched over, relaxed. Breathing into the backside. Breathing into the sides of the body. And then coming slowly back up. Now place one foot in front of the other shin. So place one foot in front of the other shin, placing the hand down, and you're going to reach across the midline here. And then slowly roll back and forth over your hip, just beginning to open up a little bit after having been perhaps seated for a long time. So you're reaching back as if you could reach your little finger from all the way from your buttocks. And again, you're free to explore what your body longs for here. Maybe you want to close and round. Maybe you want to open up as you reach. Noticing your breath. And then if it feels like it's accessible and you want to go further or do a bit more, you can place the foot over the knee, placing the hand on the upper knee and sort of getting a little bit of a stretch here. Now we're not interested in going deep. This is just an invitation to listen from another perspective. All right, and coming back to center, feet in front of you. And just taking a deep breath in and out. And then place opposite foot in front of opposite shin. The same sensation that you're reaching back across the midline, rolling over your hip, your buttock, reaching for something yummy behind you. Breathing into the hip. And again, if you want to place the foot over the knee and get a little bit of stretch here, you're very welcome to do so. And then we're going to come back and come up onto all fours, tabletop. And just make plenty of space in between your hands. And then slowly send your hips back towards your heels, allowing your arms to slide forward, forehead to the ground, and then coming slowly up. And just a little bit of movement here back and forth, releasing all of that tension that may still be there from sitting for a long time. Coming back up, lower down. And again, you're welcome to see if there are alternative routes back and forth between these two anchor points. And then coming all the way back, leaning your hips back on your heels, resting your forehead on your ground, on the ground for a bit of a rest. Just noticing your breath here and offer yourself your own medicine. Medicine of practice, of breath, of tuning into what your body longs for. Now sliding the hands back to come all the way up, and then turn around and lie down on your back. So you're going to come all the way down, lying on your back. Bend your knees and place your hands on your knees. So they're lifted, feet are lifted from the ground. And as you inhale, you're going to push the knees away from the body, both of them. And then as you exhale, you're going to push the knees back towards your chest. So a bit of soft movement here in rhythm with your breath. Inhaling, pushing the knees forward. Exhaling, pushing the knees back. So any kind of rhythm that goes with your breath. So if your breath is fast right now, you can allow the movement to follow that. If your breath is slow, you can allow your movement to follow that. And then grab onto your knees so you're sort of resting here. Maybe knees comes a little bit closer to the chest if possible, maybe not. And then you can circle your ankles. Really get a little bit of air and juiciness flowing into your ankles. Wake them up. And you can spread your toes and you can make them small, you can clench your feet, you can widen them, anything that feels like it might wake up all the small nerve endings, all the small muscles and bones here. And if your body is sort of calling for a stretch, then you can send your feet up towards the ceiling, straightening the legs, whatever that feels like or looks like. And then placing the feet on the mat or the ground, just resting them down, reaching your arms up, and then circle your wrists as well. And there may very well be a bit of cracking, popping going on here. It's fine. And you can make your fists small and tight, and you can widen the palms of your hands, spread the fingers, and you can make waves through your fingers. Anything goes. And then resting the arms down by the side. And if you have a cushion, sort of this sort of size, you can put it under your buttocks and lower spine. It'll be helpful as you lie here and start tipping your pelvis back and forth. So you're dropping the tailbone down, lifting. Just rocking back and forth with your pelvis. And perhaps so much so that the tailbone sort of lifts off from the pillow, if that feels comfortable. Or if you feel super heavy and tired and slow, then just remain on the pillow. And just notice, maybe you can experiment with the differences between lifting from your tailbone, or if you lift from your navel or from your feet. So notice what can lift when something else surrenders all its weight to the ground. So there's always a connection between something dropping down and something lifting up. So sense into your entire body, even as you're doing this movement, from a small part of it. And then allow that movement to gradually subside. And you can place your arms above your head, elbows bent. And then sort of just slowly turning the face to one side and to the other, just noticing what the neck feels like here at this point. And then you can include the knees. So you're going to make a spiral throughout your body. So as you look to one side, you're going to drop the knees to the other side. So dropping the knees as far down as they go. And then slowly turning the face up towards the ceiling, knees up towards the ceiling, and then dropping face and knees in opposite directions. Just one continuous movement back and forth, a spiral from your neck to your tailbone. Noticing your breath. Can you still breathe into the backside of your body, the backside of your rib cage? And when you're done with that, if you feel ready, you come back to the middle. And you remove the cushion from under you. And then straighten your legs out, let them rest on the mat or the ground, wherever you are. And just notice the weight of your body lying on ground here. Breathing into the backside of your body. Now you're going to reach your arms up and overhead on the ground. So reaching them up in extension. So there's a line all the way from your toes to your fingertips. And just as if you just woke up, you're going to reach the right arm as long as it can at the same time as you're reaching the right leg as far as you can. So you're lengthening the entire one side of the body and then extending the opposite, lengthening the other leg and the other arm. One line from fingertips to toes. And as you go through that motion, lengthening the right side, lengthening the left side, maybe feel your hips going back and forth like a salsa dancer. Just renewing the energy in the body. Breathe into the inner landscape of your body. Listen. And then let that movement gradually subside. And just come back to a natural resting pose, lying on your back. You're going to come onto one side. So lying on your side with both arms out in front of you. Hands resting one on top of the other. So both arms out in front of you. Yeah. And you're going to use the upper shoulder to draw the hand back. Draw the hand back. Let it slide over your arm. Let it slide over your chest and open it all the way up until that other shoulder perhaps is in the ground. And then you're going to slide the hand back over the chest, over the arm, the hand, and perhaps reaching even more forward until forehead is in the ground. And then continuing like this for a few rounds of breath. Really giving yourself that gentle touch from one hand to the other. Just sensing as direct and able as you are, as direct and open as you are able right now. This moment, this body, and this kind of movement. And then the next time that both hands are in front of you, you can place the lower hand under your head for a place to rest. And then you can place the opposite hand in front of you, or maybe resting on your side body, whatever feels good. And then you can start softly rock back and forth. So a little bit of oscillation, a little bit of swaying. So as if you're lying in your own private hammock, this rocking in exactly the rhythm that feels good for you. Maybe your hammock is fast. Maybe your hammock is super slow. So you're just rocking back and forth. Allowing your nervous system to really sense this slowing down as you also let the rocking gradually come to a halt. And then breathe into the back side of your body. Now you're going to roll onto your back and onto the other side. Or if you need to face the camera, come up and come down on the other side of the body. And then same movement again, one hand on top of the other, upper shoulder draws the hand back, giving the lower arm some gentle touch, coming all the way back, sliding the hand over the chest and forward over the arm, reaching beyond the hand so that your face and forehead touches the ground. Next time both hands are in front of you, you can place the lower arm's hand under your head for a bit of rest. Other hand in front of you or perhaps down by your hips. And then you're going to slowly rock back and forth. And for me, I like a little bit of wavy motion, a little bit, actually a little bit more speed. And for some, it will be super slow so that you may not even be able to see the movement from outside. And you can experiment and explore what is it that your body is longing for. And then slowly let that come to a halt. And just notice the stillness here. And then turn back to lie on your backside, on your back. Perhaps you want to put a cushion under your knees. We're going to move into a bit of rest practice. So for some, it can be a nice support to have a cushion under the knees. And you can sense whether you want to put your hands down by the side or maybe resting on your belly. If your music is still going, you can turn it down or turn it off. And I'm going to read a little something else for you. Rainer Marie Rilke, German poet, writes, "Quiet friend who has come so far, feel how your breathing makes more space around you. Let this darkness be a bell tower, and you the bell. As you ring, what batters you becomes your strength. Move back and forth into the change. What is it like, such intensity of pain? And if the drink is bitter, turn yourself to wine. In this uncontainable night, be the mystery at the crossroads of your senses. the meaning discovered there. And if the world has ceased to hear you, say to the silent earth, I flow. To the rushing waters speak, I am. So now feel the weight of your entire backside. Let the base of your skull be heavy and receive gravity. And as you exhale, imagine your body makes an imprint on the surface below, just like if you were lying on soft, warm sand. Body and ground, one continuous landscape. Your body has this innate intelligence and ability to heal itself through rest. So to get anywhere, stay here. Allow your natural breath to flood your body like sunlight. There's no need for technique. You can just trust that your body knows how to breathe. And as the intention of your breath dissolves, perhaps your jaws can release. Perhaps your eyes can rest heavy in their sockets. Now allow all of the large muscles of your body to soften and be heavy. See if you can connect to a place in you that feels safe. Where there is no impulse to do and where there is no need for effort. And as I call parts of your body into your attention, it doesn't matter if you feel them directly. You can just follow the sound of my voice and return to it, if and when your thoughts will wander. Perhaps bringing attention to a certain body part feels like a shift in temperature, a release, a color, something else. Whatever it is, bring your full attention to your right cheek. Notice if there's anything you can release around your right jaw, the left cheek, and the left jaw, left side of the jaw. Move your attention to the soft part of your palate. Soften. And notice the tip of your tongue resting on the floor of your mouth. Send your attention to your right nostril and your left nostril. Air softly flowing in and out. Notice the tip of your nose. Now let your attention ripple down towards your throat and your collarbones, out towards your right shoulder, your right upper arm, the outside of your right elbow, and the inside of the right elbow. Feel the right lower arm, your right hand, the palm of your right hand, and each of the 5 fingers on your right hand. Let your attention travel up alongside your right arm to right shoulder, over the chest, the right side of the chest, the left side of the chest. And send your full attention to your left shoulder, your left upper arm, the outside of your left elbow, and the inside of your left elbow. Feel your left lower arm, your left hand, the palm of your left hand, and each of the 5 fingers on your left hand. There is no task here other than to just be. There's nothing you have to do, nobody you have to be. Let your attention travel up along your left arm to the left side of your chest and to the heart center. All the way down to your belly, far below your belly button. Feel how you can get softer and heavier with each exhalation. And breathe with the whole upper body. Send your attention down to your hips and soften. Breathe into the right hip and the left. And let your attention wave down to your right thigh and soften deep inside the thigh. Feel the right knee and the right shin. Soften the right ankle, the right foot, and each of the 5 toes on the right foot, soft and relaxed. Move your attention to your left thigh, releasing any tension deep inside the left thigh. Your left knee, left shin, releasing any tension around the left ankle, left foot, and all of the 5 toes on the left foot relaxed. Now feel your entire body exactly as it is. See if you can have a sensation that you're breathing with all of your body. Feel the entire surface of your skin, inside and outside. And then send your attention to your bones, your skeletal structure, protecting all of your soft organs. And maybe you can soften and relax so much so that even your bones in your body draw a deep sigh of relief. Feel your entire body at once. Feel your entire body. Welcome all the parts of yourself now into your heart. Even the parts you may have turned away from, even short temper, irritation, or fear. Welcome all of it with a gentle smile and let your breath wash over it, knowing that everything is exactly as it's supposed to be in this moment. Now slowly deepen your breath. Feel the inside of your body. You can invite some very gentle movement back into your body by slowly moving your fingertips and your toes. And you're going to prepare yourself to slowly roll onto one side of the body. And you can keep your eyes closed as you come back up to a seated posture, however that may look after this practice. Again, it doesn't have to look in any particular way. And just a moment here to notice your breath. Notice any kind of impact the movement has had on your body, your mind, perhaps lack of impact, whatever is there. And now gradually broaden your senses. So start listening to the sounds around you, your own breath, and perhaps sounds that are further away. And you can blink your eyes open ever so softly if you haven't already. And perhaps do it a couple of times so you can go back to eyes closed and then blink them open again, just taking your time. And then when you're ready to keep your eyes open, you can slowly take in your surroundings. So just notice the colors, any patterns of light or shadows. Coming back to the center, and take a deep inhale to the center of you and an exhale, not adding anything to this moment, but just bearing witness. If it makes sense to you at the end of your practice to place your hands together in front of your chest, you can do so. I want to invite you to take a moment to thank yourself for taking the time to try to slow down. And from me, thank you so much for your time and presence. So I think there's a bit of time for questions if there are any. I'm not sure I can answer them, but I will definitely try if there's any questions to the practice or anything.
I think you sent them all to sleep, Sarah. I think that's probably all.
Great.
You're lucky I've come back. I was out on the floor.
Good. We all need a bit of that.
So while people gather their thoughts, for me, I just wanted to say that was beautiful, and I remember. I'm so pleased, actually, full of gratitude, actually, that you offered that to our community and to everyone who's logging in tonight. I remember you visiting last year, and one of the things I remember from our time together was it was very it felt quite poignant, and and it was nice to have that back again today. I think for me that was very quite emotive and like definitely what I needed. I think, and I think it's an example. I'm just going to replace my glasses because I put the wrong ones on. I think it's an example of situations of where we're not really sure what our body needs or what we need until it's sometimes offered to us in that way. Like we have an opportunity commissioned to increase the volume of the language of the body, and without that, I definitely wouldn't be resonating with what I am right now. So I'm really grateful for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. I'm glad.
So if anyone's got any questions, please ask them in the Ask a Question tab here, and it can be questions around the practice that Sarah offered tonight, around the movement practice, or the theme of the talk, or anything actually, anything that may have come up for you in the week leading up to this session, or what's happened for you this evening, today. when we're at Southsea Sangha, we break up into small groups, and we offer this kind of invitation to ask the question, um, what's maybe getting in the way of your practice, or um, what is the question actually? I'm still a little bit fuzzy from that. How is practice getting? How is practice supporting your life, or maybe what's coming up in your life that's kind of getting in the way of practice? So just maybe take a moment while everyone, if you're kind of still settling in again, maybe just checking in around what might be coming up for you right now. And like Sarah said, any question is welcomed. However, we cannot guarantee an answer to that question. So Catherine said it was so soothing and comforting and freeing. Yeah. If anyone wants to come on screen as well, they're feeling soothing, comforted, and free to come on screen, then I can do that. You can come on screen and ask a question. I thought the music was really nice, actually. I really appreciated that. At the end, I was chuckling to myself because do you remember a while ago, Sarah and I had, I don't know, we had like an evening of fun. We just created this awful, well, it's not awful, it's brilliant, this playlist that we both shared called Euro Trash Dharma, and it was just unashamedly like hyper Euro pop. And I still listen to it now, actually.
I do too.
I still add to it. Actually.
Is it public? We should make it public. Everyone should get to enjoy that.
Okay, well, I promise we'll do that. I'll set.
Sorry. So I just wanted to say, as an extension of that, this was obviously a super, super slow movement practice, and sometimes the nervous system needs something else. So a crazy solo dance party to a Eurotrash Dharma playlist can actually also offer this kind of same freedom. And, yeah.
Ruth says, I found the rocking practice so powerful and helping with some emotional release. So thank you. Courtney, can you be more specific to what you want shared? Was it the book, the name of the book?
I think maybe the playlist.
Or the playlist? Oh, the playlist. Okay. Let me unplug. I need to plug my laptop in, and I'll post that playlist. Hold on a second.
So in the meantime, maybe I'll just speak a bit to the rocking practice. There are lots of different ways to be doing this, and it's also a way of moving with the fascial system of the body and sort of tapping into these layers that are, I don't want to say below muscles, but that are other than muscles, encompassing muscles. And it can be really, really emotionally freeing to do these rocking practices. For some, a bit too intense. So we only did a little, but it's something you can experiment with.
So that's tonight's playlist, and the one that Sara and I created privately because we never thought we'd ever share it is this one. Oh, I think. I mean, I can try and share. I'm not sure it's shareable, but here we go.
We'll see. I see a few questions here.
Okay, do you want to? You can make a start with them if you want.
Yeah. What is the movement philosophy? So there are many different names for it, but basically there's been a turn away from more linear dogmatic practices that sometimes yoga can be. It can also be something else, but and in some movement circles it's called somatic movement, open flow, embodied inquiry. There are not one common name, I think, yet, but basically it's sensory based. So sensory based movement, and also working with these new kind of movement patterns that are healthy for our fascia, rather than only relating to body through muscles and bones. So you could say we've moved anatomically from a bone and muscle sort of perception of the body to we now know that fascia plays a huge role, and it runs through the muscles and encompasses the muscles, and it is kept healthy by different kinds of movement than muscles and bones. So that's the really short version. But if you want, you can look up sort of somatic movement, maybe rolfing, um, yeah, non-linear movement, sensory movement.
Thanks. I see some. So I just want to say, actually, I see some people might have to leave now, and that's
Yes.
that's perfectly fine. We've only got 10 or so minutes left. If you do leave before the end of the session, our intention from Southsea Sangha is that not only did we want to support our community and other people who maybe feel under-resourced and disrupted by this kind of this pandemic, but also to support teachers that we love and we respect. Because obviously a lot of Dharma teachers and yoga teachers that we love and are connected with our community will find their incomes disrupted as well. So this was a way of trying to support them too. So if you could make a donation by using the donation button on screen, that would be great. If you are leaving before the end, we'll address this at the end again. So thank you in advance if you are. Thank you. So there was some comments on that one question that Sara was answering. Is it possible for the Sangha to have a recording? Thank you so much. It was amazing. These sessions are recorded. We're currently in the process of uploading them into our YouTube channel. The best thing you can do, Fiona, is to, or anyone listening actually and watching, is to sign up to our mailing list. And when they are on our YouTube channel, we will be sharing them. But we are archiving these recordings, so we will have access to them. And Catherine says, where can we follow you, Sara? I think Catherine means from a safe distance online, not in a creepy way. So,
not less than 2 meters.
Yeah. So Sara, if you want to put in the chat there, like where your website is, or you're on.
So I'm mostly these days, I'm trying to not be very much on Facebook and stuff. So I'm mostly on Instagram. I do have a web page where I put up any offerings I have, but it's everything will be posted on the Instagram basically. So I'll just give you that. The handle is this.
You have a website as well. I think you did have a website.
Yeah, heartspacemovement.dk or com. Actually, I'm not sure. That's terrible. But it's not very active. So the best place to follow along is Instagram.
Okay, cool. Okay, and do we have any other questions before we draw this to an end? I crack you up. Good. I'm glad. I think I'm reading the chat. There's any. Sorry, do you have any podcasts or videos of guided movement we can purchase or find to do this more?
I'd be glad to share some recommendations from other people with Dan. He can send it out perhaps.
Yeah.
For me, I'm on Instagram. That's it. I'm working on some stuff, but I'm slow to do this. So I'm mostly live.
But I think Sara is super disciplined. If you were to look up in the dictionary discipline around social media, a picture of her face would be there. And I'm super envious of how she does this. But yeah, mainly on Instagram. You kind of upload a lot of stories and videos and things on there, don't you? And
yeah.
So yeah, that's the best place for people to go. And if you want to support Sara, then please make a donation tonight. Actually, that would be really, 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 really appreciated and grateful. We'd be grateful for that. Okay, so I think we might end it there tonight. Well, would you like to dedicate the mirror, or I can do that? Okay, cool. All right. Is there anything you want to say before we end tonight?
Just thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much everyone who was practicing along. Yeah.
Great, cool. Okay, so I just wanted to dedicate the intention behind these sessions, behind the way in which we gather online in this way, and also behind all the millions of other people who are doing similar things online with their own communities and freely offering space and practice for this time, which is really unfamiliar, disruptive, and can stir up a lot of fear and uncertainty and anxiety in people. So may the way in which we come together tonight and the practices offered this evening, may they support us and all beings everywhere, without exception, in all directions. May we be at ease. May we be happy. May we be free from suffering. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Next week, same time, same place. Next week's with Brian Attridge, who is a teacher from Southsea. So we've had Bristol, then we've gone to Oakland, and then we've been in Copenhagen. Now we're back in Portsmouth next week. So please log in and tell people about it. Thank you to Sangha Live for letting us use their space. They're offering weekly meditation, daily meditations throughout the week, Monday to Friday. You can check on their website, sangha.live. And please make a donation and help us support the teachers that we're hosting and that are offering these practices and support. So thank you very much. Thanks, Sara. I love you so much, and I miss you so much. Thank you.
You too.
I'll speak to you soon.
Yes.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye.